We as people will always seek out the unknown. What is not within our grasp intrigues us, and to some of us, this causes us to act. I know I'm not alone when I say this, but the mysteries of our world will forever have a firm hold on me. From the stars above to our understanding of life in general. Even outside the real world, this has always been something I could never shake. Within the realm of games, a place where I could explore to my heart's content, this feeling was only amplified. During our adventures in games, we proceed down the path that is presented to us. But oftentimes, our curiosity takes us to the areas that are not. When I was younger, games were my playground long after their completion, and I often discussed their mystery with my friends. This wasn't a time when the internet was still pretty barren, so most of our curiosity was shared amongst each other. For those of you who have watched my 6th Nintendo 64 Mysteries video, this may sound familiar to you. Each of us lived in our own bubbles, and depending on where you grew up, different stories were shared and rumors would circulate locally. While we were huge fans of the stories in the games, we were even more obsessed with what was not told. Where was Luigi in Super Mario 64? How do you unlock Master Hand in Super Smash Bros? Why were all the characters from Ocarina of Time in Majora's Mask? And was there a way to keep Aeris alive in Final Fantasy VII? As kids, our minds raced. A big part of this pursuit of mystery was often caused by elements within the game that hinted at something more. Sometimes it was a single line of dialogue that got our gears going, and sometimes it was just purely our imagination. This act, or concept of filling in the gaps is something that is still done today, except more so in a modern sense. If you think about it, back then we did not have the capabilities we have now for exploring the mysteries within games. Or at least not all of us did. We weren't examining lines of code in game files, we weren't performing text dumps and searching for keywords, and we weren't going through every asset in a game with a fine-tooth comb. Nowadays, any mystery or lore can be debunked faster than we could ever imagine as children. However, that doesn't mean there isn't a modern form of this today, and it is actually a very strong tool for game designers in general. This is the power of selective storytelling. Selective storytelling is something that people do often, although sometimes it can hinder the truth in real life. Imagine a time when someone told you a story that was spun in their favor. There may be a chance they left out certain elements to make it more believable. While this isn't a good habit to adopt in real life, in the realm of games, it does wonders. By removing elements of the story, or not explaining the lore completely, you invoke a sense of wonder about the world you created in the game. Now that this element is up to interpretation, it is really up to the community to bond together to solve it. The fans of your game will put their minds together in order to figure out what isn't told. And as a game developer, indies in particular, this is something that will breathe life into your game long after people are done playing it. Let's consider a few games for examples. A few years ago, Five Nights at Freddy's took the world by storm. What seemed to be a simple game about highlighting the creepy feelings we all had about Chuck E. Cheese's turned out to be a grand example of selective storytelling at its finest. Between the different games in the series, fans put their heads together to try to figure out just what was going on in these establishments. What made these animatronics aggressive? Was there a ghostly undertone to all of this? And what order did these events take place? While the characters and gameplay were loved by fans, the game stayed a hot topic due to everyone scrambling to try to figure out what was going on. Another good example of this is Undertale. In many ways, I feel like Undertale followed suit where Five Nights at Freddy's left off, as the community once again bonded together to try to solve the mysteries of the game. Besides the gameplay and quirky characters themselves, there was tons of backstory that wasn't filled in. Because of that, everyone attempted to make those connections and figure out the lore behind it. These discussions are still going on today too. On the other side of the spectrum, you have games like Hyper Light Drifter, which are absent of a written story altogether. What made this title unique was that you only had the environment and pictures to really determine what was going on. This gave the community a completely open playing field for determining the lore behind the game, and it was some of the most intense lore searching I've ever seen. There are plenty of other titles that aid in this too, and not all of them fall into the indie category. Overwatch has been teasing fans with new character additions and the true backstories to all the individual characters. To some degree, it is an ongoing conspiracy theory that continues to grow with each new piece of evidence given to the public. This continues to keep the game fresh outside its gameplay, as people are constantly trying to figure out what the newest hints really mean. On the flip side, you also have games that have been out for a while like Grand Theft Auto 5 that still have the community searching for answers. From hunting Bigfoot and ghosts, to trying to see if you can really blow up that dam, to solving Mount Chiliad's dark secrets. In this huge expansive world, there's a lot to be found, and there are communities dedicated to solving the secrets that remain undiscovered. For me, this method of storytelling is by far one of my favorite things about games. I love to solve puzzles, and the thrill of the hunt is something that keeps me going. By removing parts of the story completely, or perhaps hiding their details deeper within the game, a game can stay relevant far longer than if the story was completely explained outright. Of course, all games can be replayed for the sake of fun as well, and this is separate from that. This tactic is something that brings me back to the times of my childhood when all you had to go off of were the peers in your neighborhood. The excitement to contribute something to the discussion each day at school was something I will never forget. And the act of selective storytelling in the games of today is the modern form of that, except to a much grander scale. Everyone joins in the hunt to be the first person to solve the mystery, because the person who does solve it will go down as a legend in the history books of gaming. But now that I've dumped that on all of you, I'd of course love to hear your thoughts. Do you enjoy stories that selectively reveal details and are up to interpretation? Or do you like having the full story explained to you? Do you have any stories of mystery solving that you did as a kid? Or even tales of today? And last, what game series is your favorite when it comes to speculation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As a side note, this is actually a topic I present at game design conventions, so I thought I would share with all of you. As you can probably tell by the type of videos I make, I love trying to solve the mysteries within games. And alongside that, I love encouraging those producing games to build out their own mysteries within their story. Back when I made games when I was younger, I was all about the in-game secrets and mysteries within. Who knows, maybe someone I talk to will end up producing the next greatest mystery I will have to solve. That would truly be awesome. But hey, perhaps I'll be able to present one day to you as well. So I encourage you to follow along on Twitter so you can see all the conventions I'll be attending. And with that, thanks for tuning in to this analysis of storytelling in games. If you'd like to join me on my YouTube voyage and continue on this journey of discovering the truth, then the subscribe button is just what you're looking for. Thanks for watching, guys and gals, and until my next video, cheers. You've made it to the end of the video, but wait, your quest isn't over yet. Why not give my video on Nintendo 64 mysteries a whirl? It was one of the earlier videos I produced, but it covers the childhood aspect of the same topic perfectly. In that video, I cover some of the in-game mysteries I spent hours trying to solve. Or perhaps you'd like to check out my video on who Mario's grandpa is. I recently dove into the Mario timeline head first to discover who he was and the bloody history behind his craft. As always, there's a slew of other videos on my channel too, so regardless, I hope you enjoy.